Hey guys, I'm Misty Buck, president of Miss Inc., and we are here for another Marketing Monday. And today I am so happy to introduce you to a very special guest. This is Amber Love Bond. I almost screwed that up. The one and only. She is fantastic and amazing, and I can't wait for you guys to hear from her today. You know, we get a lot of questions about influencer marketing. How is that working and all these things. And Amber is a huge influencer on Instagram. So you guys are going to look her up today by the end of this interview, or even right now. Check her out. And she's also a freelance journalist. She writes for American Way, and she's done some stuff in Forbes, and she is friggin' awesome. So super, super excited to have her here today. We've done some work together as well. She's just an all-around awesome person. So I'm going to stop being glowing about her, right? I'm going to stop going on, and I'm going to let Amber introduce herself. So
what
she's used to be rambling on. All right, Amber, go for it. Introduce yourself. Tell us about what you do.
I mean, I don't know that I can do better than that introduction.
I mean, you cannot stutter like I did.
Like Misty said, I am an influencer and a freelance writer. I cover all the good stuff. So I cover food, beverage, and travel. It's been a little bit different over the last year, as you can all imagine. But I've been pivoting into covering more like brands that can be bought at home, and kind of getting the word out not used to being in a studio. Helping get the word out on different ways that local businesses have pivoted, and just kind of trying to support the community around us.
Yeah, I love it. So, Amber, why don't you tell us? So, I want to hear about your freelancing gig and kind of like what's happening in hospitality and food and beverage and tourism and all that really fun stuff. And I know you're always all over the place, but tell us a little bit about being an Instagram influencer. So, like, how did that come to be, and what's it really like? Because I think people have this perception that being an influencer is like, oh, you know, easy, whatever. But I know you put a ton of work behind everything that you post, and it'll literally take you hours sometimes to put together those stories. So tell us a little bit about that. How'd you get started? What's it really like? All that good stuff.
So it was a complete accident becoming an influencer. I was actually in the corporate world. I did accounts payable for a global consulting firm. And I wanted a more fun social life. So I started going to events, and I met an editor for a website who needed some writers. And I knew that I did well in college on all of my literature classes. So I took a chance and I wrote an article, and it did really well. And I was already posting photos of food and stuff on like the beginning of Instagram's days. And I just all of a sudden started getting all of these invites to come take pictures of people's menus, or try their products or different things. And it kind of snowballed. And less than a year after my first article, I quit my job and became a writer and an Instagrammer. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely, like you mentioned, a lot more work than people realize. So brands tend to reach out to me and send me whatever their pitch is. And if it's something that I think aligns with what I do, then I'll accept the package. And it's a whole process. So there's like, get the package, and I have to unbox it, but I try to unbox it to a point of, is this something that's worth unboxing on camera, or is this something that I should unbox and set up a photo shoot? And then I share it with my followers. And if it's a fit in an article, then it also goes in an article. So it's a process for each brand or item or restaurant. And it takes a full day sometimes to do just a couple packages.
Yeah, and you get a lot of packages.
So many.
You get so many packages. So everyone watching, go ahead and put your questions in the comments, and I will see them here. We'll see them on the screen, and we will get them answered. So anything you have about influencer marketing, freelance journalism, the tourism, hospitality industry, et cetera, put them in the comments, and we will get them answered for you during our live stream here. Yeah. So Amber, all right, let's talk about something that a lot of small businesses want to know when it comes to influencer marketing. So let's say that I'm a small business and I'm trying to get my product or my service out. And I think, okay, maybe I should target an influencer, right? Now there's different levels of influencers. Yes. There's ones that have like millions of followers. There's ones that are 10K or less. There's ones that are 5K or less. There's different like categories, right?
Right.
So how does that all work? Like what should I look for in an influencer, number one? And then the second question would be, how should I approach an influencer?
Great questions. So I am definitely what would be considered a nano influencer, which is less than 10,000 followers. And from what I've discovered, there's the micro, which are, I believe the number is between 10 and 20,000 followers. And then, you get bigger to like the celebrities and the really big influencers. It all depends on your brand and what you're trying to promote and their community. So like I only have, I think it's just under 7,000 followers, but my followers, I'd say 80% of them are in Miami. And the rest that aren't are people that have come to Miami several times and they're always looking for how to build their itinerary while they're here. So you really want to look for an influencer whose audience is who you're trying to reach. Because yes, you can have an influencer with 2 million followers, but are they following them because of how pretty the influencer is? Which, like for aesthetic purposes, Instagram is aesthetics, right? We all know that. And there's no shame in that. But for your specific product, you need to find like who's posting about things in your area and who's the followers, the people commenting, or people commenting and tagging their friends saying, oh my God, we need to make a date night here, or I need this drink right now. Or do you just have people saying, wow, that looks pretty? Which engagement is great. You always want engagement, but you really want to hone in on the ones that are actually going to bring the business to your restaurant. And then the way to reach out to them is DMs. They're on their phone. And if they really are engaging with all of their messages and things, they're going to see your message. Be straight to the point. Don't, they're busy. They're running around. They're doing things. So just kind of be straight to the point. Hey, we love your content. Here's what we do. Here's what we want. This is what we're looking for. And they'll tell you if it's something that's in their wheelhouse or not.
Okay. And so is that something that usually is there a cost associated with it? So let's say, okay, like they'll say to you, okay, I'm going to send you this product for you to try out. I'll pay you X or whatever the arrangement is. And then you're going to post it this many times in your story or like whatever the arrangement is. So like, what is that? How does that typically work?
So those are what we call the deliverables. It's different with everyone. So because I write about so many products, typically I don't charge for a lot of the things because it's well, as a writer, it's unethical. But as an influencer, I really try to focus on things that I would actually use. So I don't do a lot of paid or branded things on my personal page. But brands will reach out and say, okay, we're going to send you 6 pints of our ice cream. We want 5 story slides and 2 feed posts. And sometimes that's worth the 6 pints of ice cream for me. And sometimes it's not, or sometimes I think it's a brand that really needs some love shown to them. And, sure, I'll do that just to get them on the radar and help them in any way that I can. But a lot of influencers, and it's more the amount of followers they have, the more they can charge. So you have to be ready to have some kind of a budget because these days influencing it's a job, it's a career, and it has to pay the bills too.
Yeah, totally. And I know that from our conversations, you'll be like, oh my gosh, like especially like the meal kit things that you get where like she'll get these meal kits and she shows like the process of her cooking the meal along the way, but she's making sure that she's getting the right shot. It's not just like, oh, she's streaming it and that's it. No, she's taking like each angle. It's really incredible the amount of time and care that goes into doing this work as an influencer. So I got to ask you, what is the coolest thing that you ever got as an influencer?
I've gotten some really cool stuff. This week, though, I think takes the cake. So I do a lot with cocktails and beverages and things. And in the last week, I received a beverage refrigerator, like a full-on
oh my
refrigerator.
God, yeah, I saw that. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wait, she just got this awesome new apartment, and they sent her this huge a beverage refrigerator, guys.
It's nuts. And it actually came. I was influencing. So one of the people who reps the brand, Hisense, which is also my TV, coincidentally, she follows me on Instagram and reached out and said, hey, I've bought a couple things because you've posted them. I know you have influence. We'd love to send you a refrigerator to help keep your new beverages cold. And so it's waiting for me to make some beautiful refrigerator porn with.
And I think that's so, I mean, why not? This is the right Amber. So, but I think one of the other cool points here is the underlying point here is to pay attention, because if you're watching the influencers and you're not just sort of picking them and you're paying attention. So what this company did is they were watching what she was doing. They actually took some of her recommendations and then decided, okay, we're going to give her this refrigerator. And then what happened is now she's posting and talking about the refrigerator as a result. So it's sort of like just is this whole stream of things that can happen.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I am. What's the weirdest thing you've ever gotten?
Oh, that's a tough one. Man, I've gotten some weird stuff. I've gotten some really.
You don't
weird
have to say
stuff.
brand name. We don't want to like put anybody on blast, but just sort of like an odd thing that maybe you didn't expect.
I've gotten stuff that's been like just really branded with like somebody from the brand's face all over it, that just it's more funny and entertaining that moment, but it's not something feasible that I can continue talking about forever. So I've gotten a couple.
Talk about someone's face forever. I'm just kidding.
Not quite. What I'm gonna have to. I'll keep thinking about it as we talk and see if I come up with something
super weird. All right, so we had like the best thing you ever gotten. How many deliveries do you get on normal on a week? Like average. Ooh. How many deliveries of things that you have to story about do you get a week?
I'd say anywhere between 20 to 30.
20 to 30. Guys, that's more than I Amazon, by the way. And I think most people Amazon and Uber Eats 20 to 30.
Yeah. And that's the getting the delivery from downstairs. I've been in my new building for 2 months and my doormen think I'm absolutely crazy. There was a period a couple weeks ago where a bunch of different brands were drizzling me their liquor. And so Drizzly, if you're unfamiliar, is like Uber for liquor. So you can get it delivered to you in 30 minutes or less. And there was one particular day where I got 5 different Drizzly deliveries, but those to my doormen look like I've ordered them. So I got this like
partying
massive bottle of tequila, and then 45 minutes later I got 2 bottles of wine, and then 2 hours later I got another thing. And my doorman Sam was like, "Your alcohol is here. You good? Like, you seem to be going through a lot of it lately." And I was new in the building, so we had no idea. So I had to go downstairs and like explain, I'm writing about it. Right. There's, different alcohol holidays coming up, so I'm getting some extra stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, okay." And I think it took him a couple weeks to really grasp that, like, I'm not this crazy girl just delivering, ordering these crazy things of tequila in the middle of the day for no reason.
Just for no reason. She's very thirsty.
So thirsty.
All right. So before we continue on, Amber, give us your Instagram handle. So I don't know if Tommy, if you can put that up on the screen or not, but let's put your Instagram handle up there so people can actually check out and see what we're talking about.
Yes. It's Amber 2_love.
Amber 2_ love. So you can check her out. This is on Instagram. We're going to put it on the screen for you so that you guys can go and follow her and check that out, get an idea of what exactly she is, what we're talking about here in terms of what she does. Maybe this will make more sense for you. So, all right. So we know you're an influencer. We've kind of gone over a little bit of that. So let's talk about when you're talking about writing about these things. So talk to us about what is it that you do as a freelance journalist? Sort of what do you specialize in? And I have a ton of other questions, but let's start with that one.
So I cover, in all ways, food, beverage, and travel. So I write for a lot of local publications like Eater, Miami New Times, Time Out, Thrillist. So like any of those lists where you're Googling like, where's the best pasta in Miami? Chances are I've written it. So I write for all of the local outlets, and then I write for American Way, which is the magazine when you're flying American Airlines. I write for Forbes. I write for Afar. I did the Fodor's travel guide for Miami and Fort Lauderdale. That'll be out this spring. Just kind of all over. I do a lot of focus on the Caribbean, a lot of wine country articles. I'm about to get my second vaccine, so I'm super pumped to get back to traveling. So I'll be doing a lot more travel-focused articles in the next 6 months.
Yeah, she'll get, by the way, as a journalist and as an influencer, she'll just be like, I'm going to go to Mexico next week because I just got offered this trip and I'm going to go on all these excursions and go to all these restaurants and it's all expenses paid. And it's just like the life. I'm telling you guys, follow her because she's like going to just it's going to blow your mind. So I'm going to make you rethink your career. Just kidding. Maybe it will actually. I don't know. But anyways, all right. So I know one of the coolest things that you do, which has been sort of put on hold, but the South Beach Food and Wine Festival, you interview a lot of really interesting people.
Yes.
So what's been like the coolest interview or the coolest celebrity or just something that really sticks out in your mind in terms of those interviews?
That's an easy one. That's definitely Guy Fieri.
I was hoping you were going to bring him up.
He's my absolute favorite interview ever. The first time I was lucky enough to interview him was 2017.
Guy Fieri, you know who he is, guys, right? And everyone does. Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Yes.
The guys with the spiky blonde hair. Like everybody knows him.
He's one of the most down-to-earth, humble, incredible supporters of the hospitality industry. And I actually interviewed him for either the third or fourth time last week. We did a Zoom interview. He's working on this really awesome auction with Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy, and they're doing being sponsored by Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, which is the biggest distributor for liquor in the country, I think. But they're based here, and they are doing this really cool auction. It's actually happening April 9th, and they're auctioning off these crazy lots. All the money goes to the hospitality industry. So I was talking to Guy about some of the different lots and things.
Oh, you're on a first name basis. Excuse me. I was just talking to Guy.
We're best friends.
Okay, you're best friends.
But so he's a really good interview. I got to watch him grant a bunch of Make-A-Wish wishes a few years ago at Disney, and watch him like follow around all the kids and just kind of get to know them throughout the day. And then I got to sit down with him and interview him about that experience and about a couple menus he was working on. And he's just so interested in everything that he's doing. And that interview actually took place in Orlando, and he didn't know that I was from Miami. I was only there for the day. And he asked me like, where in Miami do you live? And I mentioned that I lived in this area. And he immediately was like, Scully's Tavern, the Escargot, and the Wings. And
you said he has a really good memory, right?
Yeah, no one told him like, oh, she lives, on Sunset Drive.
Right. So imagine all the places he's been around the country. And
from like, that was like season 1 or 2. That was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he remembered the owners. He remembered what he had. And so he really puts his heart and soul into things. And I know people don't take him seriously all the time because of like the frosted tips and the crazy sunglasses, but he's one of the most genuine people ever. And it was a really cool experience to get connected with him every couple of years.
That's super cool. Yeah. That is super cool. It's really good to hear about. I love that when you hear about like people that are on TV and that they've really made it, but yet they're still humble and they're still approachable. And I think that's super cool. So I won't ask you that question in reverse because that's kind of rude. But although, maybe off camera, I will. And I'm not going to ask you to put somebody on blast like that right now. But all right. So if somebody was interested in, let's say I'm a restaurant owner and I'm local.
Okay.
Right. So what should I do if I want to reach out to an influencer or I want to have a chance at having my restaurant featured in one of these like top 10 things that you do, for example? Right. How would I go about that?
So like I said, DM them, or most influencers or journalists on their social media will have a contact button that'll lead you directly to emailing them, and just let them know, like, this is our story. This is what we have going on. On the Instagram side, it's aesthetics, right? So we want something that like looks good, that'll make people's mouths water. On the writing side, I want a story. So is this your grandmother's recipe passed down generation to generation, and you're making this is like the number one seller in your restaurant? That's what's going to help me for a story. I want to tell the story. I want to get people there. And then on Instagram, I want it to be pretty or look delicious, or, be ugly delicious. Whatever it is, I want to make people hungry or thirsty.
Thirsty. Yeah. So if you have like a really unique drink menu that you're launching that's tied to, I don't know, like a nonprofit or something, then you could reach out to somebody like you. Yeah. And then, okay. So you guys see where she's going here. So it's like doing your homework and knowing who has the followers, if you're going the influencer route in your market. So people, and sometimes like she's saying, the nano influencers 10,000 and under, they're easier probably to reach. But also, sometimes would you agree that you have actually more engagement in the right kind of audience because it's specialized, right? So you would think like, okay, why would somebody with only, let's say a couple thousand or a few thousand followers do any good for me? Well, if they're in like this market, or they have this niche with followers that really matches your message, then it's really worth going after that than going after the ones with millions of followers.
Absolutely.
With right?
Yeah.
So looking into that, knowing what it is that you're offering, and being willing, I think, to listen, pay attention, go above and beyond. I'm imagining that if someone like they did with the fridge thing, if they were to say to you like, oh, hey, I love how you're doing this, and that, that's got to be an extra bonus for you. Okay. Cause now they're paying attention. So now it's worth my time to pay attention to what they're sending me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, it's all about building relationships and connections. And so if you send me one thing and it's really great, so as a lot of these businesses have PR agencies, so if they send me one thing and it's something that like I can really work with, I can do a whole story, or even if it's something I can't do anything with in that moment, it's not a fit for what I'm doing, but I really think that it's something that's like worth hearing about, I will always tell them like, it's not a fit right now, but I'll keep it in mind. Please feel free to send me anything you have going on with any kind of brands or products or restaurants or whatever. Because you never know where the story is or who they're going to be working with. So it's all about relationships. That's the biggest key for influencers, writers, people trying to get their brands heard, is build the relationships. It takes a lot of time, and that in itself is a full-time job, but it's worth it. And that's really what's going to get your message across from both parties.
Yeah. And you don't have to have a PR agency to reach out to influencers, right? You can kind of just do it on your own if you wanted to. All right. So we talked about what to do. Let's get close to wrapping up here. We'll talk about what not to do.
Oh, that's a really long list.
That's a really long list. All right. Top 3 to 5 things not to do when pitching a journalist or influencer.
Don't email me and then text message me and then DM me and then tweet me in an hour. It takes you some time to get through things.
So no stalking.
Yeah, please don't stalk me. It happens, and the more you stalk me, the less likely I am to actually, try and find a fit for you.
So what's like an appropriate time for a follow-up? If you send a pitch, what's an appropriate time?
If it's in my email, you can do whatever you want. The biggest thing, and it happens and it's happening more and more, is somebody will send me an email and then they'll like Facebook message me to my personal profile. Hi, I just sent you an email. And it's like, yeah, you sent it 3 minutes ago. I'm on the phone right now with somebody else. Or so in emails, I think, 48 hours is fine. I don't mind a follow-up. I'm really good at responding to emails. And I hear from a lot of PR friends or media friends, different things, that not everything gets replied to, but I really try and do my due diligence and reply pretty quickly. So that makes it even harder when people are chasing me down if they haven't given me a moment to breathe. If I tell you I don't have a fit, sometimes I've had a lot of people get really abrasive and ask why not, or what's wrong with it. And I'm sorry, I don't have a fit. At least I'm replying, where a lot of times people just don't reply.
They'll just kind of go
so I've had some people get a little abrasive. I think the best thing to help you avoid doing the bad things is just know that we read your emails. If we have a fit, we'll find a fit. It might not fit right now, but in 6 months, I could be perfect for what I'm working on. So just be patient and try not to ruin the relationships you're building.
Okay. So number one, we're talking about don'ts. So number one, don't send you messages on multiple platforms, all at the same time.
Yeah.
Give a couple days for follow-up.
Yes.
Right. So send one message, absolutely. Be patient, give a couple days for follow-up. And then number 2 we have so far is don't be aggressive and burn bridges by saying, why'd you say no? Right. Instead, maybe just say, okay, and come back with something else that maybe you need to understand the influencer more.
Absolutely.
Instead of putting it around on them. And we know, especially I think people in PR coming from that background and some of these other places, you feel like a lot of pressure. And so it can be, you can be like sort of emotionally charged, but if you can just be patient, right? You're saying it can work out. All right. So those 2 things not to do. What's something else that they shouldn't do if they're trying to reach out to influencers? We're talking to people who might want to do this DIY style. If you're a mom and pop shop here.
I think those are really the 2 don'ts. I think just kind of be clear in your message. Let them know if you have a specific thing that you want handled. Like, I want 3 posts in your feed. Be upfront about that, because they don't want to go back and forth with you about what you want and like, oh, maybe this will work. And then you want something that just like doesn't fit their style. So kind of try and figure out exactly what you're looking for and put it out in one very simple message, just to get the ball rolling. If you don't have a budget, also say that immediately, because that will eliminate a lot of people, or maybe help you find the right person immediately. That's something that's really important to the influencers, that's their bread and butter. That's everything for them. Let them know up front, this is my budget. It'll help narrow down the back and forth that you'll have between them.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So I know we've been talking for a little while now. You guys have any questions, you can follow Amber, get in her DMs. She will, I'm sure, be happy to answer your question. Just be patient and give her the time to do that. So anything else before we close out today that you want to share that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think so. I think I'm just really happy that things are starting to kind of look a little bit normal, especially here in Miami. And I'm just excited to get back out there and start talking about businesses that are open and thriving. And it's exciting that we're coming to the light at the end of the tunnel.
It seems that way, right? It really seems that way. It's starting to feel that way. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I'm sure you have to go story something somewhere, unwrap a package, drink a bottle of tequila, whatever it is that you do. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Hey, book your next trip, whatever it is that Amber does. But make sure, again, that you guys follow her. It's Amber_love on Instagram, and check her out. And I want to thank you guys for being here today for another Marketing Monday. I have another really awesome guest next week. We're going to talk more about the hospitality industry with this guest, and I think it's going to be really awesome. So if you have specific questions, be sure to send them to me. By the way, if you want to be a guest on Marketing Monday, feel free to message me as well on Facebook, or you can email me, and we will be happy to set that up for you. So, all right. I hope you next week. Make it a good one.
Bye.